Ciao bellissimi e bellissime. Sometimes, and I say sometimes, I wonder why people come up with the silliest of ideas. I was strolling around YouTube in search for something to watch while being my usual lazy Italian self when my attention was caught by something. Something so silly, so messed up, that my soul neuron went in full short circuit. I'm talking about those spooky rituals that have no reason to exist, whose sole purpose is to give sensationalist channels a new way to make themselves look sillier than they already are, while of course providing people with the usual needed amount of adrenaline, with the result of severe lack of sleep apparently. So that's what's on the menu today. Silly ritual alla milanese. Buon appetito! Here's the thing. During the pandemic, and I don't want to make jokes about it as it was a real tragedy, a lot of people lost their dear ones, and mentally wise, the population due to the forced isolation was not feeling well. Not to mention that the luckiest of us had to cope with the supreme sense of boredom. Even though content creators, video game devs, movie studios, they were all trying what they could to allow us to pass our time in the best possible ways. So thank you for the hard work, guys. But there were some of us who decided that it was a good idea to pump the web with the brand new ritual based on nothing, or at best based on a creepypasta, passing it for a real thing just, as I said previously, to give some spooks to the most gullible at home. Around the internet, especially around Italian sensationalist channels, during this time a lot of content related to a ritual called the Red Book Ritual was starting to get attention and views. Of course, useless to say that this ritual is the usual load of BS, but because I am senile and my duty is to complain, annoy others, and look for nitpicks in order to pervade myself with a sense of accomplishment, I decided to do a research about it so you, amazing wonderful people, can be informed and I can feel smart. Please make me feel smart. In any case, what's this ritual? You fantastic people are asking. What's its origin? Is it based on something real? Well, let's start by pinpointing the origin. Apparently it was born in Mexico, one of the countries that I admire the most, land of beautiful beaches, rich of historical and archaeological sites, with beautiful sightseeings and natural wonders, and tequila. But I'd rather not try this as I don't drink alcohol. Yeah, I know I'm boring, but I don't like the taste of it, and I followed the same principle that the amazing Randy was following when he was still alive. No drugs, alcohol, or anything that can cloud your ability of reasoning. Back on track. Where was I? Yes, the ritual. So, the exact precise date of birth is still a mystery to me, as I could not find any hard evidence related to this. I went so far to annoy my Mexican colleagues at work and begged for answer, but the only thing I was able to obtain was the link to a podcast called La Mano Peluda, where they talk about this ritual. If you happen to speak Spanish, you can find their podcast on Spotify. The oldest reference that I could find on the web is in a Mexican forum dating back in 2015, but I firmly believe that this thing has its roots in something more old, probably connected with the myth of La Llorona. Not sure, so take this info with a grain of salt. So, here is what I found. The original name is El Juego del Libro Rojo, translated, the game of the red book, and it goes roughly like this. Take a book, any book with a red cover, light a candle, gather your brave friends, and let the game start. The rules are simple. Take the book in your right hand and ask, "Red book, can I enter your game?" Next step, close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, read through the pages, and once you're ready, stop and fully open the book. With your free index finger, point somewhere on the page, and if the sentence or word is a coherent one or can be interpreted as coherent, then you're allowed to proceed further into the game. Of course, if you happen to land on a sentence or word that isn't coherent or in an empty space, experts of the game say that the ghost doesn't want to talk with you and you have to pass the book to the next participant. I am starting to smell a very distinct stench of garbage here. But let's move on. When you're ready to go back into reality and start acting like a normal person again, probably after carefully reviewing your life priorities, you can end the game by saying, "Red book, can I exit your game?" Do the same procedure you did before, and if you land on some word or sentence that says okay or can be interpreted as such, then you're free to go. Good, you survived the experience, pat yourself on the back and enjoy a nice meal. But I know that some of you is thinking, Ale, I want to be a real pro and I have money to waste. Any suggestion? Well, if you truly want to waste your hard-earned cash, you can purchase the official artifact on Amazon. Let's have a look. $16, not so pricey. And the description says, "This game is not a game." The title of the ritual is literally El Juego, the game. Maybe try to get some info on the topic before publishing? Let's continue. Inside this book, you will find random words. To establish a communication with the spirits and everything that is derived from the ultra-terrene dimension. In order to perform this ritual, it's necessary to respect the rules at the beginning. Be careful! Don't take this book lightly. No, I will just take it to the trash bin. Who is the author of this? John Turner? Let me do a quick research and... no clue who this person is. A pseudonym maybe? Honestly, I would be ashamed myself to the point that I'd use a pseudonym if I had to write something like this and have the guts to sell it. Let's read a free sample courtesy of Amazon. Here is the page and... Comprehend, sculpt, who, refugee, ornament, now wings, narcotic, here, lays around, more than, leave, trim, with elbow. Dio che stupidata! So they were not messing around with the random part, eh? Now I'm curious, what about the buyers? Any reviews we can check? Who bought this masterpiece of literature? Oh yes, there are. Not so many, but there are. A book not for everyone. It's not a game. I tried this ritual with another book and honestly I received more coherent messages. Sounds like a believer who is debunking the book, but let's continue. The curious thing that ties every science I had was the constant solicitation to the word close. I believe I was unlucky. For sure it does what it should do. Okay, never mind. My expectations apparently were too high. Nothing to add. It does what it's supposed to do. Yeah, I do believe that a book does what it should if you use it to read it and absorb the information contained in it. Oh, but you meant the spirit communication. Oh, silly me. And in this case, it's just a collection of random words. It's not worth the price tag at all. It does what it's supposed to. Give me a bloody break, please. Well, Lunatic Town has opened the gates, I see. To be honest with you, there is not much to debunk here. You can have the same result with any other book, or if you want to put some work into it, you can use a fishbowl, write some notes and post-its, fold said notes and put them in the bowl. I am sure that at some point you can end up with something that makes a little bit of sense, or that you can force some sense into it by interpreting. It's not so different than those ITC word generators or apps that have been used by investigators in their quest. Don't worry, I will talk about those devices in the future as well. All in all, a total nonsense. The principle is this: it's only up to what you believe and your interpretation or forced interpretation of the words you're reading. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. As I said, a total nonsense. Ma porca miseria, l'ananas sulla pizza. Ma siamo fuori di testa, ma porco Giuda. Many of the threads I read, not the original one of course on the topic, claim that the ritual needs to be performed from 3 AM onward. Of course, no nonsense can be completed without the infamous witching hour gimmick. Guys, usually at 3 AM normal people sleeps. The only thing that happens at that hour is that our metabolism reaches the lowest point. Unless you do a night shift due to working schedule, or you're having fun on a Friday/Saturday night forced to be awake at that hour, in these cases you're more than justified. But if you're awake trying to have a chit chat with the spirit, well, it's a kind of questionable way to spend the early hours of the morning, don't you agree? And for every silly stuff that attracts some attention, also our friends in the movie industry in 2022 decided to release an horror movie based on this urban legend, creepypasta, myth, the Red Book Ritual. I didn't watch the movie and I'm not planning to watch it, but out of curiosity, let's check the reviews. And it's garbage. Not a big surprise here. Just to end the video on a more serious note, I do understand, we have discussed it previously. People believe in the most absurd stuff, and that's totally fine. You want to play lottery extraction with a book? Be my guest. Nothing harmful in it for the most part. My main concern is about people with an already fragile mental state who maybe recently have lost a loved one and they are led to believe by these content creators that they can reach out and speak with their deceased loved ones, prolonging unnecessarily the time required for them to mourn and heal. Of course, I am not saying that all these content creators are reckless. Most of them try their best to be careful in putting some disclaimers, but not all of them. That's one of the issues I have. And about all these contraption books and stuff sold online, guys, just be careful on what you buy and what you read. Ignorance plus superstition can be a very dangerous mix. Therefore, I always encourage anyone I know to be curious, to be inquisitive, skeptic, skittish, and do all the possible research before believing that something is indeed real. Well, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this trip and I'm looking forward to see you next time. As always, link of the sources are in the description, and if you feel particularly wonderful, I kindly ask you to like, subscribe and comment. Ciao bellissimi, arrivederci!